Hi everyone, I am back with another video, and as you may have seen on Instagram, I did a quick little video series mentioning some of the sketchbooks that I like to use with watercolor paper in them. So I wanted to go over those just a little bit more with you here, and I'll link all these down below or something very similar. So first I'll start off with, I have a Strathmore watercolor paper pad, and it's spiral bound, and this is 140-pound cold press paper. And I really do like how this works out for pen and wash as well as more formal paintings. This is just a little study of a cute hedgehog that I did, and that's more in my formal painting style of soft washes and detail. And then I've also done more of the pen and wash style, which I did this for one of my latest Skillshare classes, which is how to start a nature sketchbook. So I've actually tried painting on both sides of this paper, and it works quite well. Typically it's recommended to use the right side of the watercolor paper. But because this is a sketchbook, I just wanted to see how it would work if I used both sides, and so far so good. So this is a book that I would definitely recommend. Strathmore has a lot of different sizes of watercolor pads as well, so have a look for these. The other one that I have is my Moleskine watercolor sketchbook. And this is the largest size. There's also a smaller size you can get online. And this is 90-pound paper, and you can actually paint on both sides. Just trying to see. So I've got a painting on both sides of here, and it works pretty well, and it doesn't buckle too much. I wouldn't regularly use 90-pound watercolor paper. However, this specific Moleskine sketchbook does a really good job of it. So if you like the nice, kind of fancy binding of the book and the elastic, this is a great option as well. And I did order this online, and it came pretty quickly. I think this size is around $40 Canadian, probably a little less in the US. The latest book that I have is the one by Be Creative, and this is 140-pound watercolor paper as well. It has a smoother hot press finish, and as I mentioned before, hot pressed is a smoother finish. Cold press is a bit of a more textured finish. And I really like the square shape of this book. It has this little like vellum cover in the front too, which is kind of neat. One thing that I will note about this paper is that it's really absorbent. So if you're trying to do a technique where you want to lift a lot of color off, like sometimes in my botanical paintings I lift out highlights, it might be a little bit harder on this paper. So far I've used it for my pen and wash studies, and then I did do some lifting out here, and I did get a little bit of like as I was rubbing with the brush, the paper was kind of pilling a bit, and I just went ahead with it just to see how much the paper could handle, and it worked out all right. But I would use this for less layered paintings. If I was going to do one of this more formal animal painting with lots of buildup of color and layer and texture, I'd use the Arches 300-pound hot pressed watercolor paper that I use for my more formal paintings. But altogether, I'm pretty happy with this sketchbook, and I'm definitely going to continue to use it and experiment. It's got quite a nice amount of paper in it, and it's a great size too, and I love that you can fold it out and have it open flat, which is great too. And I couldn't find this exact sketchbook on Amazon.com. They had the multimedia version of this, but this is the watercolor version, and I got this locally here at my local art store. So if you can find the watercolor sketchbook, then I'd highly recommend it. I don't recommend trying out watercolor techniques on multimedia paper. I think some people do, and you can make it work, but I think it's best if you're going to invest in anything, whether it's paint, brushes, or paper. Paper would be the thing for watercolor to get the proper product. You'll get such nicer results, and you'll have less frustration following along in tutorials and my online classes as well as other people's.